voters in that same poll who said they would definitely turn out on Election Day favor Mr. Trump by 11 percentage points. Veteran pollster and noted focus group organizer Frank Luntz joins us from New York. Frank, as you look at these new numbers, what do you think?
I think the Trump people are pretty happy about it, and they're happy because they see all the trends moving in that right direction. The point that you just made, Brit, the idea that the intensity, the passion, is on Donald Trump's side, that is significant because turnout, if you have just a 5% fluctuation between Clinton and Trump in turnout, that can be worth half a percentage point, and there will be at least 2 states, I promise you, 2 states that will be decided by 0.5% or less. Now, the thing that has to give Trump pause is Colorado and North Carolina. Those are 2 states that Trump has to win, and they are still in Hillary Clinton's camp, even with the race closing. And Brit, as we all know, in the end, the popular vote isn't what matters. It's the Electoral College. And that Electoral College map is very difficult for Donald Trump, even though in every other indicator it's moving in the right direction for him.
Is this the kind of momentum, Frank, that you see that could begin to change those states that have now become, such as Florida now a toss-up, Nevada now a toss-up, that could put them in the Trump column, given the political makeup of those states? They look like states where Trump would at least have a good chance. This momentum seems to be holding, at least for the last several days. What are your thoughts?
I agree with that. And it's holding in states that Republicans have to win. But that's the problem that people have talked about now for the last 4 years, just how hard it is for a Republican presidential candidate to put together enough states to win 270. In the off-year elections, it's become quite easy for the GOP to dominate in Senate races, House races, and gubernatorial races. But in the higher turnout, frankly, more voters of color, more younger voters, the GOP has not been doing well among those people. They are still not doing well now with just a week to go, and that's holding the Donald Trump back.
I want to ask you about one other, the numbers I mentioned, which was the lead that Mr. Trump holds, at least in that Washington Post tracking poll, of about 11 points among people who say they're definitely going to vote on Election Day. Now, I should add to that Mrs. Clinton enjoys a lead in excess of 10 points among people who say they've already voted. So she's up there, but of course that group is smaller than those that will turn out on Election Day. What does that suggest to you about the possibility that Mr. Trump could overtake her with the voters that turn out on Election Day itself?
Well, we've seen early voting, particularly in 2012, benefit Barack Obama. Basically on track now. In some states, the Republicans are doing a little bit better than they did in 2012. But Democrats tend to vote early. Republicans tend to vote on the day of the election itself. They're traditionalists, and they appreciate the value of Election Day. To me, I'm not following the national polling, and I do think that the numbers will continue to narrow. I only care about Nevada, North Carolina, and Colorado. If Trump takes 2 of those 3 states, he is probably the next president of the United States. If he fails, then it's probably Hillary Clinton.
Now, we've noted that the polling average in North Carolina, which seems to be emerging, at least for this part of this week, as truly the key state, and that shows it still leaning D, but there's one poll out tonight, I guess it's Survey USA, I don't know what you think about that particular polling organization, that actually has Mr. Trump up, 6 or 7 points. What do you make of that?
So I've looked at races. In 1968, Hubert Humphrey made up about 6 points in the last week of the campaign, but he still came up short. The same thing in 1976 with Gerald Ford against Jimmy Carter. Ronald Reagan moved the most of any presidential candidate from Thursday of election week until the following Tuesday, Election Day. Reagan moved 9 points, but that's because of a presidential debate. And the fact is that Trump and Clinton are not going to face off with each other between now and Election Day. Can you move 3 points in 8 days, 7 days? Absolutely. But it is still better to be in Hillary Clinton's position right now, where she's had a consistent lead in those 3 states.
Okay, Frank, always good to have you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Brit.